Hello everybody, this is John Alexander with one more video from the line of John Talks. This is the video number 10, and today we are going to talk about a very, I would say, unusual type of line of thinking. Today we are going to talk about mind, soul, man. How this can be, how this be in a situation where you grow up involved with so much of a culture, so much of a scholastic learning, but when we decide that all this knowledge that we are acquiring every day have a very little growth on inside, the men that ask question and don't have answer. Are you one of them? Then come with me, and we are going to go to a different kind of line of thinking where mind, the whole idea, soul, the real, and man, an idea, perfect. As you know, we have lots to think about when we talk about thoughts into things. I want to thank you for to be with me in one more video. And as a child, I spoke with you in a few videos back that I grew up on an environment where for some reason I was a little bit different from the other child. Different in which way? Imagine an 8 years old, or 8 years old I would say, would be interested in film making. I repeat, an 8 years old interested on filmmaking. How you would do it? As a child, somehow I made a projector. You heard it, I made a projector. At 8 years old, 8 to 9, 10 maybe, but 8 years old I would say, made a projector. And to me was the most incredible experience when I realized that I could put things on focus. Imagine the kick that I had when I said, wait a minute, if I put a paper with some drawings in it and I pass through a light from behind and go through a lens, and this will project on a wall, on a screen, a figure. How many kids with 8 years old would thinking something like that? Well, anyway, in doing so, I was very interested how it would take movements. So I started playing with the figure doing like movements, you know? And the most funny thing was the fact that I said, well, it must have a motion and the movement should be more delicate. Then I realized that every movie that we are seeing, our eyes are seeing different stages of movement. Today we are filming with like a 29.7 frames per second, and then you can see a smooth, normal position. I don't want to go into that detail. But the funny part was the fact that as a child, around 8 years old, I did that detail with no adult supervision. I just made it from gathering details, thinking about it, and actually working to the point. Now, let me tell you about a few other experiences. Can a child make gunpowder or black powder? I did. How? Had no idea. Somehow, the thing was coming to me, and we had a purpose for that. I want to make a rocket. You heard it. So what I did, I made the black powder, made a tube with a nozzle in front, like an arrow point, put some wings in it, and put the black powder in the back. And somehow, imagine how dangerous this was. Make the combination of the powder to actually make the rocket to fly, which it did. I do not recall that us, the youngsters that was in a group, got hurt from this experience, which I do not recommend nobody, even an adult, trying to make chemical combination to eventually explode things. Imagine. Well, so I made the cartoons to make the movie. a movement or a type of a movie sequence. I made the gunpowder and the little rockets, something like this big, no bigger than that, just this big. And I love origami. Origami, it's a very interesting thing that the Japanese and the Chinese are able to have an expertise in it. And the most interesting part was the fact that I did this for a while because I love the intricacy of the paper. And I was very excited. When you get a sheet of paper, a piece of paper, it flops it, right? It falls because it has no resistance. But as soon you put a line into it and you make any curve, any folding, it becomes strong. And after that, you can actually play with the angles and you make any shape of any animal, flower, or things out of that. And if you combine one shape to the other, you make an elephant body with a trunk with ears, big as should be. You make a very beautiful flower, or even what they call, which is the classical for the origami, which is the crane. It's a little bird. But one thing that I was amazed, I studied that, and then many years later, I built up a software that actually will calculate metal structure, warehouses. Now, we are talking about mind. We are talking about soul, and we are talking about the man. What is the difference from mind, soul, and man? What is the difference? What actually makes somebody, like so many special individuals on our culture, like a Leonardo da Vinci type, a poet like Khalil Gibran, Edison, Tesla, what these people saw, what these people felt that we, the so-called normals, don't see. What kind of a line of thinking they went through to actually be able to unfold this and bring this marvelous things for us to have. Today I'm going to show you two situations that I called that any thought held in the mentality tends to express or externalize itself on outward visible form. As we understood the spiritual law that made the so-called spiritual facts become humanly and material visible to us. This line of that I expressed a few minutes ago are not mine, okay? This was an address from Mrs. Martha Wilcox, a CSB, and she had a lessons on metaphysics with Mrs. Mary Baker Eddy, the author of the book Science and Health, with key to the scriptures, okay? But I felt it was so exciting to know that somebody was able to put this on a human form of words that really can express the idea as you think it, so it is. As I said before in another video, the fact that we are seeing so many progress, so many special things going on, like the SpaceX project, like a very unusual lady that discovered a system that made internet connections much faster. You can download films in question of a flash of a minute. Now, let's go back again to the mental, spiritual impression when they are externalized and we are able to actually see it on reality. I'm going to show you two situations. As I was living in Boston in the afternoon and in the morning, I used to come with what they call the subway or trolley. And this part of the subway was when the trolley or the T-bus they call used to go not from the sub area, but he would go on the street level. And for a certain amount of time, he would cross in front one of the most fantastic places called Boston Museum of Fine Arts. And I have a very fond taste for the history of the American Indians. And in front of the Boston Museum of Fine Arts have a statue, or I presume is one-to-one, of a chief Indian from the prairie. Could be like a Comanche, Sioux, Arapaho. I don't know exactly which line of a nation he was. So he was on a horse praying to the Great Spirit, like the open arms looking up, and the horse properly, quietly awaiting him to make his prayer to his belief on a spirit, on a bigger mind, the soul of every one of us. He was embodying as a man with his creator, with his essence. And I love that. And someday, thinking about to get or have the time to go there and take a picture out of that, which I never done. And I was unable to go and buy some memento or some souvenir that would depict that picture of the Indian, which I'm sure they have on a museum to sell to interested parties in regards to that. But now I want to show you something. A friend of mine said to me, John, I have so many things, and I want to give you something that somebody gave it to me a long time ago, but for some reason I don't have any use for this right now. I said, okay. I didn't know what this person wants to give me. Are you watching? You better. Now, can you see something like that? Do you see the Indian? Watch it. Isn't it incredible? What I wanted for so long, somebody just gave me the opportunity to have such a beautiful thing like that. A thought externalized. A thought externalized. By the way, this is a bookend, okay? So I have the other pair, the other part of it, so they will go like this, and the books will be put on the top on a shelf. But I think that this is just gracious, and I was very grateful to have that. Let's have a moment to understand when I say any thought held in the mentality tends to express or externalize itself on outward visible form. That is the idea that we have right here. A few weeks ago I was sleeping, and I would like to think that as I sleep I go to a different levels of consciousness. Have you seen something like that? Have you ever thought that as you go through the process of sleeping, or even you can meditate about it, you actually are opening up a dimension where you can communicate with a higher level of mind, and your soul can just match. And you see things, and in the process of metaphysics says that everything thought can become thing. As I mentioned here, one of this true fact. I thought about it, I wanted it, and somehow calmly, peacefully, at his own time, it came to me. Going back again to the dream. So I was dreaming, and I thought about a sword. You know, a warrior sword is not something usual, is it? But for some reason, I went to a friend's house and we were talking about internet, computers, metaphysics, and few other jokes and things that he likes to talk about. And all of a sudden, I noticed something hanged on the side of his desk. Well, I went home and the day passed by. A week later, I went back again and that object was there on the same place. But I noticed, because I've been there for quite a while, I never seen it, that specific object on that place before. And this gentleman never mentioned that he had one. But then we start talking, and then all of a sudden, he got up the chair and grabbed it. This beauty, are you shocked? Take a look at it. How fantastic is the work in this. And that baby is a real thing. Now I am a warrior. Or I have been a warrior without knowing. I have my Indian without praying for his great spirit, and I have my sword. I am He-Man. Da-da-da-da. Oh, my dear. So, again, thoughts into things. Imagine this possibility. Imagine as I go through life and all of a sudden I realize and starting getting things coming to me graciously as it should be. Why? Because the mind that we, at least I understand, is the creator of all things in this entire universe. And this soul, this essence that is in the man and everything else is ours, naturally, harmoniously, and we can have it and make use of it properly. This is the kind of video that I like to make. This is the kind of video that I am doing. And I hope if you are the type that likes a different type of approach in life, thinking more spiritually, getting that energy from inside of you and knowing that you are capable because you express this divine mind that is naturally to each one of us. Let's recap a little bit. Any thought held in the mentality tends to express or externalize, as we saw this a couple of minutes ago, itself, tend to externalize itself on outward visible forms. As I mentioned here, the sword and the bookends. I have a few others that as time goes by, I'm going to show you the divine possibility as we understand the spiritual law that made the so-called spiritual facts, this bookends, this sword, and everything around us is a spiritual fact that we, as we progress it, we are capable to see it. in human forms. You got it? If you think exist some people, think about an idea or an object or a situation and put effort, put his mind to develop that idea. He brings in people that have talents that contribute to the forming or the final touch to get this thing done. As I said a few minutes ago, that I made a software that will actually calculate metal structure. Because my idea, when I used to do the origami thing, I was excited to see how a fragile line attached to other line, or band as they say, could hold a piece of paper that this big, which in a normal form he would just flop it. But as you put some line in it and bend it, you make a structure. Now, the interesting part was the fact that I made this software all by myself, and I had to make a way for the computer that I had at that time would be able to understand my so-called codes and calculation and low algorithm to make the material. So I did that. And the most incredible thing was that to make a whole warehouse or a steel frame, I only had 3 lines of order. 3 lines of order. Height, width, and length. 3 things. Height, width, and length. And it will calculate the whole process to the minimum detail. If it would ask for 99 screws, don't buy 100 or 98, because you will need it 99 bolts. Incredible. I was so excited about this. But anyway, things are the past. I grew up to different levels of thought and demonstration. And I'm so grateful to be with you today, talking to you, and from this experience, from this line of thinking, that you can start making your talents to shine up. Don't expect, as I said, anything from anybody, but expect everything from everybody. Put your talents to work. It's your God-given talents. Just make it happen. Go forward, go deep, go higher, and make this world a better place to live. Just a little hint. The other video that I'm going to make, and I hope you will be able to see it, is something related with light. The sons of light. Who could be the sons of light? Am I looking at one? The son of light? Are you a son of light? I'm sure you will get this answer. So for today, thank you so much for being with me. And as I said before, have a good time and do good. Let your light so shine so men see, come, and glorified mind, soul, God. And let's be happy. Thank you so much. Have a good day.